Yeah, South Carolina, absolutely.
Right.
And Antifa and Black Lives Matter aren't saying shit about it.
So you know why Joe Biden got elected? Joe Biden got elected because he's 77 years old, and he's probably not going to make it to 85, which is 8 years away.
I don't believe he got elected, though.
Okay.
Eric, we're going to agree to disagree and agree to agree on a lot of stuff between now and the day somebody raises their right hand and gets sworn in.
Yeah, and I'm not saying he got elected either, but
I need to respond to Rachel on something. Rachel wants to talk about, what was it, what's going to happen
between now and Inauguration Day, because why talk about after Inauguration Day if we're not sure who's going to be inaugurated?
Well, here's what was the phrase commonly used. If or when I am elected, I will. If or when I am elected, I will. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if he truly believes that he has been elected, he's not been sworn in yet. Come on, give us the days. It's in your ballpark now. There's no more if. There's no more maybe in your head. In the Democratic Party, there's no more if, when, or whatever. It's your ball game. For example, they were screaming to have Trump do another stimulus package for $2 trillion to $2 trillion plus dollars. Am I correct, Eric?
Something like that, right?
They wanted another either $2, $3, or $4 trillion dollars, and they wanted Trump to sign it. If I was Donald Trump, I would sit there and say, well, you know, the day that you get sworn in, you can limo over to the White House, and I'll leave the form on the desk for you. You can sign another package for $2 to $4 trillion. It's okay, but they're not going to blame me for it. When it comes time to pay it back, they're not going to blame me for it. Somebody's got to pay for it. But what I'm saying is, Joe Biden could say right now, the minimum wage is going to go up to $15 an hour on February 1st, 2021. Everybody that's working for 10 now, or 11 or 12 or 13 or 14, you're going to be making $15 an hour at 12:01 a.m.
That's not necessarily true.
Go ahead.
These
Go ahead.
companies are going to lay off those people, especially now. They don't have the money to pay $15. They're going to fire these people.
Eric, I understand that, but what I'm saying is, for those who remain,
Okay.
at 12:01 a.m. on February 1st, 2021, they should be given $15 an hour.
Well, think about the companies like Google and Facebook, all the companies out there in, California, Silicon Valley, wherever. They have given their workers orders practically because nobody's coming in to work from home. They're all working from home. They don't see an end in sight to these people coming back to a brick and mortar office. And one thing that nobody thinks about, that I read an article about, I certainly didn't think of it myself, is they have huge complexes and facilities. And they have a lot of people that come in and clean at night. They have workers in the cafeterias.
Going to be a lot of dust.
And all these people are making $15 to $20 an hour, which out there is nothing. I don't think it's anything to make $15 or $20 an hour in Northern California. And they are afraid that they're going to be laid off or terminated because there's no work for them right now. The only reason they're being kept on, basically, let's admit it, it's charity. I mean, the companies have a lot of money, so it's charity, and the predominant number of these workers are Hispanic, non-white people who are not making the money and don't have the resources that the workers who are working from home have. People who can work from home are somewhat, and I hate to use the word, but privileged if you can work from home. If your job is going out and cleaning offices at night and doing those kind of things, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? And then Biden's going to come in and he's going to say, okay, people who perform essential services like cleaning and cafeteria and, maintenance and the infrastructure, they're getting laid off. So let's let more people come in over the border who also need jobs, and they can be jobless too and compete for the minimum amount of jobs that we already don't have.
This is a coordinated, widespread election fraud by big tech, by Hollywood, by the mainstream media, by the corrupt Democrats. This is coordinated, and it's not going to go down like this. There's just too many patriots on the right who are not going to let this happen. Trump is not going to concede, and if the government does not step in and do an accurate vote count and convince both sides they did a good and honest, fair job, you're going to have shutdown. There'll be more shutdowns from the wars in this country than there will be from the virus.
I just don't know if that's going to happen, because I think by and large, unlike supporters of Biden and Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton, people that support Trump do not go out and become violent. And I mean, they're working, they're supporting their families, and they are just not available to go out and do the kind of things I think you're saying to make a change. I would be surprised. I would just be surprised, Eric, if that happened.
They're slow to respond.
Yes.
But when
we got another call coming in.
No, we don't.
Okay. What's the beep?
This is my personal phone, so it doesn't have anything to do with the show, the calls that are coming in.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You'll notice that I've been being very quiet.
What'd you say, Eric?
I don't think the right is going to let this one go.
Okay.
Do you notice that I've been very quiet?
Okay.
Yes.
Here's why. The $15 an hour issue. During the pandemic, companies like Google and the rest of Silicon Valley told their employees to go work from home. And a lot of them went to the state of Florida, where the cost of living is 25% of what it is in California.
Easily.
Where a gallon of gas is probably half the price in California. And you know what the big companies said to them? You got to tell us where you are, because we may be overpaying you based on your location.
Most of them have pulled back on that.
But you can pull back on it, Rachel. But it was put out there.
It was.
As you're not going to make this much money in Florida. We're not going to pay you this much money if you're living in a state like New Hampshire that doesn't have an income tax or a sales tax. Okay? Now, Newsom, the governor of California, okay?
Governor Nuisance.
What's his name?
We call him Nuisance.
Nuisance.
But Newsom is correct.
Proposed and almost passed an amendment to Proposition 13. It was Proposition, I believe, 19. And that Proposition 19 said, in 1985, we passed legislation or a constitutional amendment that said, the day you buy your house or business and the price you pay for your house or business will remain the tax amount, the tax base for how it's going to be taxed. In other words, if you bought a house in 1978 for $29,000, you're going to pay $800 a year in property taxes till the day you sell it. Okay? That almost passed. And can you imagine?
You mean going back on that?
They wanted to
Cancel it.
They wanted to say, because Proposition 13 with Howard Jarvis back in '85 said all real estate was purchased was going to remain at the same taxable value until the day you sell it. And Newsom, what'd you say? Nuisance?
No.
Governor Nuisance.
Thanks,
Governor Nuisance wanted to say, but we want to tax Silicon Valley for the actual value of their campus in California. We want to tax the Hughes plant in San Diego, or the aircraft stuff they're doing, Hamilton, Stanton, whoever in San Diego. We want the businesses to step up and pay a current rate on current value. Okay? So,
Yes.
so you look at what they were trying to do and say, yep, the first bite of the apple would have been business. And every little person in the state who doesn't want to pay taxes would say, what a great idea, tax the big guy. And then wait 2 years, wait 5 years until that settles down and the big businesses are taxing, and the ones that move out of state are going to move out of state, and the ones that are going to move in are going to move in. And then they're going to go and then they're going to spend all of the money that they take in. And they're going to say, we got to get some more money. I have another, let's do Proposition 20. Proposition 20 is, let's tell people they got to pay tax on the value of their current home. They can't be paying taxes on the value that it had in 1978. That's not fair. Okay? But you look at what was going on. Now, do you have that list?
Yeah.
Okay? So Newsom, okay, wanted to increase the taxes, not income tax, property tax. Not income tax, the 1% rich. He wanted to increase the property tax. And if you're going to have Boeing that's in Oregon or Portland or Washington, Seattle. But these companies in California must have been shaking in their boots, thinking that the government is going to leave it up to the citizens to vote on whether or not they're going to pay more taxes. Okay? It's one thing to be able to, have a lobbyist stroke a politician's ass, but no little guy's going to be stroking their ass. So that's what I was saying was, this is crazy. Now,
well,
so
what do you think's going to happen to the stock market, Eric? What is going on with the stock market?
So the stock market is being artificially kept up by the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve has special vehicle teams that buy the indexes. If it wasn't for these special vehicle teams of government printing money and putting it right into the market would have collapsed a long time ago.
Right.
So it's being propped up.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't being propped up for the past 4 years as well?
I'm sure it was. The Federal Reserve has a trading desk. They have a right to trade the market. And they have a blank check, an open credit card to buy or sell whatever they want.
Right.
And so that's good. Does that just keep going forever?
Well, until the currency blows up.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. We're monetizing all our debt. The country's $60 trillion in debt. No chance we could ever pay the debt back.
Well, okay, so let me run through at least some of my list, so at least the topics are out there. So I'm sitting there going, minimum $15 an hour to go to work. But what does that say to the guy who's making 15, and now the new guy coming in is going to make 15? Well, I want 25 because I got experience.
Yeah, it drives it up, no doubt about it.
He promised, and he's already started, according to the published reports I'm seeing, he's going to aggressively fight COVID. He's going to aggressively go after COVID.
He's already set up a task force.
He set up a
We're
task force.
getting locked down, just like in Spain, just like in the United Kingdom. They're going to lock us down for months.
In our houses.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Now that's one thing that I don't think people will stand for again. I don't think you're going to get people in this country to stay home like they were in March and April and May. I just don't think it's happening again.
This is their plan to control us.
I don't think people are going to do it.
Let me go down the list. Supposedly he's going to cancel student debt. You know, the student loans. He's going to cancel them.
Right.
You heard that?
Yeah, that was one of his plans.
Yeah, and he's going to give a free college education to everybody that wants to go to college. You heard that?
Well, that can't be for every college. It must be for the public ones or something. I mean,
well, I'm sure it's not going to be for the private ones.
right.
But still.
What you're talking about then is blowing up the money. So the government has to print this money to pay the colleges. So you're talking about demonetizing all the debt. So everyone's dollar is now worth 50 cents.
Right.
And I
So
can't.
We now live in a socialist country.
I can't imagine there's one student who has debt who's making payments right now. I think they're waiting it out.
11% of all federal student loans are being paid right now.
Right.
70 to 89% are default, but they're not default. They're on I forgot the word.
Deferment?
They're
Deferred.
deferment.
Yeah.
All right. Now,
Wait a second. I see a place on Ed's list where we're going to save money. I do. Number six.
Oh, yeah.
This is where we're going to get all the money from.
I'm getting there.
Yep.
I'm getting there. We're going to defund our police department.
And that'll save a lot of money.
We're going to tell them all to go home. Now,
Sure.
I saw some news reports that asked a question. Where did the $1 million or $1 billion they cut from the New York City police budget go? Where did the money go?
Well, Eric should know. He lives in New York.
Yeah,
Where'd it go?
where'd it go?
It wasn't in existence to begin with. That was their deficit.
I see.
Oh. Now, they're
Look,
going
if
to...
the federal government doesn't bail out New York and Chicago and all these big cities, they're going to crumble.
I said this...
So
the
like...
pension funds will go first.
So like I just saved $50,000 by not buying a car. Now, the fact that I didn't have $50,000 to buy a car doesn't make any difference. I just saved $50,000 not buying a car. It's kind of like that, right, Eric?
Pretty much.
Well, okay, so I'm sitting back and saying to myself, I heard him say, or, you know, it was one of those political ads, commercials, and I'm Joe Biden and I approve of this mess. Something about everybody was going to be guaranteed $17,000 a year. Now, I don't know if that's $15 an hour, but somewhere, and I couldn't find it again. I tried to rewind and then record so I can get have a copy of exactly what was said. But I'm sitting back saying to myself, you can't do this. You can't do this. What in God's name are you going to do to give everybody $17,000?
Well, we'd have to fact check it to make sure. He
No,
might have
listen.
said that's the basic
Fact
people
check.
should.
As we know, the government doesn't make a cent.
Fact
It's
check.
not
Yeah.
one business that they make money in. All they do is take from other places.
This is, in my opinion, a roller coaster with no stop. In other words, you get on, it starts going, and it doesn't stop.
I believe they're trying to crash the United States of America. Our schools, politics, the economy. I believe it's coordinated. I believe Christine Lagarde, the chairwoman of the IMF, is doing the same thing all through Europe with the European Union and the euro. All these currencies are they're worthless. They're basically toilet paper. They're printing out of control. The money printing in all these major countries is just unsustainable.
I got a story for you.
Coordinated attack to reset. How many times have you guys heard the word reset?
Yes.
Reset. Well, what are they talking about? Resetting what? Canceling all debts? Canceling everything?
I got one for you and for everybody else.
And where are they going to put us on? A digital currency.
Eric, have you ever heard of Quinnipiac College?
Sure, they do those polls.
They do the polls, and they have a law school. And it's supposedly a very good law school. Quinnipiac College. I have a friend who's a retired state trooper, I'm not going to mention names, who his daughter wanted to go to Quinnipiac. So she went down in her freshman year, in the first semester, and was bunking with 4 other roommates. And the 4 other roommates were acting inappropriately, to say the least. And this person says, "Dad, I want to come home. I don't want to stay at Quinnipiac." So she came home. She took online courses. She is a straight A student. And I was talking to the father the other day, and he says, "Hey, you're not going to believe this." I said, "Well, are you still down at Quinnipiac?" He goes, "Yep." And what happens is, because he works at Quinnipiac as an armed police officer, his daughter gets free tuition. But there's other police officers working at Quinnipiac who live far enough away that their children room and board at Quinnipiac. And they made the students, not the parents who paid the tuition, they made the students sign a contract that if the school remained open till at least November 1st, you don't get your tuition back. They closed it down right after the 1st of November because they say that the week prior to that, they had 159 COVID cases. They closed it down. They're telling everybody, lock down in your dorm rooms. Parents are coming from all over the country to pick up their children and bring them home. But it's amazing how it happened right after November 1st.
When they knew about it well and ahead of that.
When they knew that they'd have to give back money if they did it on October 30th.
Are there any kids in New York City actually attending school, or is it all remote down there?
Sure. Well, in Long Island, I would say 40% of the students have opted to do at-home virtual learning.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not coming to school. In the upper grades, they're coming on odd days.
Right. That's what they're doing up here. But up here, they keep closing schools. I mean, they're doing that, and then they keep closing them up because somebody gets COVID.
Right. And the numbers are almost at 3% now in New York City. They're going to close down probably Monday. At least that's what Comrade de Blasio said.
Yeah, he's in a lot of trouble down there.
Now let me see if I can catch this right. The kids are attending school physically right now in New York. Yes?
He says, I think about 60%, maybe.
60%, but some of them had a choice to do
and then the others
at-home learning,
off.
right?
Yeah, that's what he said.
But 60% went to school.
Correct.
Okay. And they go to school, and the teachers come in. Some do, some don't. And then all of a sudden, there's not enough kids, or there's too many kids and not enough teachers. There's all kinds of shit going on. And whammo. They're going to close the schools down. Right?
Yeah.
Does that start the unemployment clock new for the teachers?
No, the teachers keep getting paid.
Whether they're in school or not in school.
Yep.
Because they're conducting classes via the internet.
Which, by the way, I come in contact with teachers in my work, and my understanding is that is extremely difficult. That it would be better, and for them to actually be in the classroom. That it's very difficult.
It's 3 times the amount of work.
Absolutely.
All the tests, all the papers, all the forms in digital format. It takes a lot of time to data entry all the stuff. Whereas a teacher could just photocopy 30 copies, give it out to the student, and then it's used and done. So the teacher has to data entry everything. It takes three times the amount of time, and it's not as good as education because you don't have a live person.
Yeah, and beyond that, I've been told that by going practically into the kids' homes by remote, it's very stressful because you're almost in their homes, you're seeing them in their homes, and you're coming in contact with things that are sometimes troublesome. And it's very very stressful. And I'm talking mainly about the lower grades, I guess. I don't know if the higher grades experience that or not, but I can't imagine being a teacher right now. I just can't imagine.
They're very stressed out.
Well,
they have to get tested often because people are getting COVID in their classes. So when they get tested, sometimes it's quarantine, and you're looking at 2 weeks sometimes. It's a disaster.
Yep.
But unfortunately, the virus is really contagious, and it's not as deadly as we thought it would be. We have a lot of new therapeutics for it, but still, it overruns the hospital. That's the problem. Just so many people going to the hospitals. I think that's what they're trying to slow.
And then there's the collateral damage, the people that need health care other than related to COVID who just aren't getting it and just aren't going.
Right, that's true. People not getting their heart checkups, people not getting their diabetes checkups, people not doing surgeries that they need.
Yeah.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. New Jersey has just passed legislation making recreational use of marijuana legal.
Yes, correct.
That's correct?
Yes.
And the state of Oregon has completely decriminalized all drugs.
Yes, cocaine is legal in that state.
Heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine. It's all legal in Oregon now.
I heard heroin and cocaine, but...
So you can't get a plastic straw in that state, but you can get legal cocaine. So how are you going to sniff it if you can't get a plastic straw?
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus.
So they catch you with a straw and cocaine, but you get arrested for having a straw.
Isn't that ironic that the plastic straw is now illegal in Washington, but cocaine is not? What?
Johnny Jones lives on Main Street in Newark, New Jersey. And he's doing his homework at the kitchen table. And his laptop or lapbook, notebook camera is watching his father in the background smoke weed.
Wow.
Nothing can be done.
No.
Not even risk of injury to a minor. It's legal.
Oh, let me tell you one that's kind of like that. Now, up here in Connecticut, they are starting to do trials, not jury trials, not criminal trials, but civil trials where there's no jury. They're starting to do them remotely, right? And
sit over there for a minute. Mind that.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
I'll
be back.
Yeah, they're starting to do them remotely. And so there was a family case, some kind of hearing, and the mother is at her home, the father's at his home, the judge is wherever, and they're actually taking testimony from the mother, and she's cooking eggs at the sink and washing dishes while she's giving testimony in court. So that is present day, court proceedings. People are just in their home, caring about their daily business, and kind of answering questions off the fly when a judge or another attorney asks them. And your story just reminded me of that. What's going on, Ed?
I'm going to be right back up there. I just got to give my neck a rest for a minute.
Well, for the sake of this country, and for the sake of the 70 million people on each side, I think that a recount is in order.
Yes, absolutely.
I think the FBI should get involved. I mean, in 1982 in Chicago, the FBI got involved because it was a fraudulent election. They're not getting involved yet. I think the government really needs to get involved. I think they're going to realize that shortly, because you've awoken the right. I don't think they're getting away with this one.
Eric, you had sent me, and then we'll wind the show up after we talk about this last point. You had sent me an app, and I intended to address it before the show today and join up or whatever. What is this? Because it seems like a very good way to communicate and get online. What is this app that you had sent me?
So basically, it's called Parler, Parler, and it is uncensored Twitter, basically. So people on the right are very upset that any bit of news or any tweet from the president has a warning on the bottom of it. And then some tweets are taken off or some accounts are shut down. People are very, very upset about that. So Parler, which it seems to me to work better than Twitter, it's kind of like a mix between Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, but it really is growing exponentially, especially this past few weeks. And I got an account on it, it's free. If you want to get if you want to be able to do certain things, you have to enter your name and email address and take a picture of your license to know that it's you. Mm-hmm. And then it works very well. And basically, you can see Donald Trump's, they don't call them tweets, they call them echoes.
Nice.
So.
Okay, well.
And they don't put an X on it. They don't, you don't have to click on it and it says, warning, this is not verified or this is not true. And they're not taking anything down. So basically, it's, you can say what you want to say.
Well, within reason.
Within reason.
Yeah.
So
I can't believe what this country has come to.
So I want to thank you, Eric.
This is a very sad time in American history right now.
So I want to thank you, Eric, for joining us. We're going to sign off today. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Be on standby next Saturday.
Bye, Eric.
Take care. Bye-bye.
And everybody there. Bye.
Okay.